Aloha, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Faith and Family First. I'm your host, Eva Andrade. I am here with my co-host, Marcus Oshiro, and maybe we'll luck out, and when you're listening to this, the shutdown has stopped. Maybe when you're listening to this, you'll be like, wait, didn't they end the shutdown? But if not, stay tuned because that's what we're chatting about today. Hello, Marcus.
Today is November 4th, 2025. What day is it, Eva?
It is what?
The day of the shutdown. How many days have we been doing this?
It's
October 1st?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Over a month, right?
Yeah. It's in fact, what they're saying is this is the longest shutdown in history.
The longest?
Absolutely. So I want to know if Congress members are being paid.
They're being paid. They're being paid. Actually, it's going to be an automatic deposit, I think, to most of the checking accounts. But what's interesting is that unlike the last time in 2018, I remember that well because it was like the Grinch who stole Christmas, right?
Yeah.
There's cartoons about President Trump out there, right? Grinch, right?
Yep.
I think some senators and congresswomen and men actually took their paycheck and went down to the local food bank, or maybe it was the kettle. Maybe it was the Salvation Army kettle and slipped a few,
If they truly did that, and I do kind of remember reading about that in 2018, I do think that that's fair. I do not believe that Congress members should be paid when there are people that work for the military, people, federal government. I mean, we could list a whole bunch of people that are not being paid.
National parks, people.
National parks.
Kilauea, Haleakala, right?
It's not
Arizona.
Fair. It's not fair. Just, you know what? I work for a nonprofit and I'm feeling guilty, and I don't even get paid a whole lot of money, but I know that my paycheck is coming, and my heart is breaking because I know that this is a matter of people drawing a line in the sand that they are refusing to. It's like tug of war.
We're hoping that, and we talked about this like maybe two sessions ago, two episodes ago. But I blame both of them. I mean, you got to, it is what it is, right? You got the House Speaker and you got the Senate President, and you have the minority faction, you have the majority faction. But it's really, it hurts at the end of the day. It hurts the constituents. It hurts the voters. It hurts the citizens who have no power, no say, because it's all been given to the legislators in Congress and the U.S. Senate. And 30 days is a long time.
It's a very long time. Yet let's go down like who's being affected, and then we can talk about how it's affecting people here in Hawaii. So let's talk about the federal employees and contractors right now. So when I'm looking at recent newspapers, and again, you brought up what date it is that we're recording this. Right. So this, I don't know that these numbers are going to change, but there may be some new articles that come out. But right now, so there's 24,000 federal civilians working in Hawaii, and this was a statement that was put out by Ed Case, okay? 24,000 federal civilians working in Hawaii, with roughly 19,000 of them working for the military. And then there's about 47,000 service members in Hawaii, plus their families. Thousands of contractors, grant recipients, and others in Hawaii whose jobs are tied to the federal government.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, and I'm glad that Congressman Case raises those points because they are being affected. And you mentioned the family of military dependents. These are the children, wives, spouses of people in harm's way who are serving in our military. And they're getting affected.
Reagan, is your hubby in the military?
He is.
Is it affecting you?
No, he's gotten paid.
He's gotten paid. Are you feeling any?
Didn't Trump say he was going to pay the military? He's gotten 2 checks.
Yeah. Well, they're going to get paid. But what's happening right now, for example, in this article here, it talks about TRICARE. TRICARE is the healthcare system insurance program for military dependents, and they're being shorted.
Oh,
And
so you
what-
may not be feeling it yet, but if this is not solved soon, you
Yes.
might be.
So
yeah.
so in the
Yeah.
Honolulu Advertiser, they described this situation with a military dependent, a woman, a family who had a special needs child that because of TRICARE not being funded,
Oh.
they can't access the usual types of services for this child. I think the child is special needs child, and it's affecting the family. So for the last month, they've been dealing with this. And can you imagine how heartbroken the mother must be
Oh,
of not being
yeah.
able to take their child
Oh my gosh.
to see
Yeah.
their psychiatrist or their counselor or their social worker because government is shut down. So, there are real consequences besides, the active military, on duty, servicing the family and the children.
And how about the airports? We've got a holiday season, Marcus, that is coming up, and everybody travels during the holidays. And so you've got where people are going through TSA, right? This is
Yeah.
We may not even be in full shutdown mode.
Well,
yet.
they're saying that now instead of the usual hour and a half before your flight, domestic flight, or 3 hours before foreign flights, you better go add another 2 hours to that because you get it to the TSA.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
my gosh.
And
Yeah.
then you need to check in with your flight because there might be a backup on flights coming in, flights leaving because of what's happening with air traffic controllers.
Oh, I have people that told me they had flights canceled.
Yeah, I mean that's happening.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen it personally here in Hawaii yet, but on the mainland,
Thank goodness that the professionalism and the duty honored of our TSA officials there 24/7. It's a 24/7 operation. They're there, and they might not be getting paid. They're hoping they get an IOU that's going to be able to be cashed and deposited at some point in time. But they're still attending to their duty, which is very important of national security, right? And
what about food inspectors and stuff like that?
same thing?
So could we be getting food in that cannot be inspected in time?
There could be some perishable goods that might not make it through and might get spoiled because it's not enough inspectors.
Wow.
No, there's consequences
Wow.
you probably won't hear about, and won't be on front page, won't be on the evening news, but they're going to be
Well, that's why I figured we could talk about it because what's happening in my opinion, and you've been around just as long as I have and in different circles. So jump in if you see something different. But what I'm seeing is I hear a lot of focus on SNAP recipients and stuff like that. And we're going to talk about that. But there are a lot of ways that people could be affected that we may not hear so much about.
Well, yeah, I think, those contractors who had government contracts that are no longer being paid on those contracts, they have payroll issues, they have retention issues, they have ongoing fixed costs.
But Congress is getting paid.
Well, yeah, Congress is getting paid. Yeah.
So why?
yeah.
I have never. I mean, is this something that would have to be a constitutional amendment, or could this be a law? But how could we, the people, rise up and say, you know what, you guys want to shut down the government, fine, but you guys, Congress should not be paid. I mean,
it's really the executive branch and the legislative branch. So it's the U.S. Congress, the U.S. Senate, and the president.
Well, the president hasn't been receiving a paycheck.
Well, good,
right?
Well, okay, well, good for him. But anyway,
well, that's what he claims. Right?
Well, okay. But anyway, he's part of the discussion here too,
right?
Because he has some authority, he has some ability to transfer some funds, expend some funds, release some funds. He has that.
And he announced today on November 4th that he was going to start, I think 50%. People were going to, right? I think is what I remember.
Yeah, well, he's doing that because he went kicking and screaming because until 2 federal court judges said you shall release those monies that are available to the, not aid to family dependent children, TANF, temporary assistance to needy families, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I just did both of them.
Yeah.
Aid to family dependent children became TANF, temporary assistance to needy family, but I was actually talking about food stamps,
I know.
which
I
is
saw how you did that.
which
Yeah,
is
it was SNAP, right?
yeah, SNAP, supplemental
nutrition
assistance program. Yeah.
Yes.
And
yeah.
I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the economy. So according to the governor's office now, the state of Hawaii is losing $120 million per week due to the shutdown.
Yeah.
And a report I was reading today, again on November 4th, from Wallet Hub, was saying that the impact of the shutdown on all 50 states, Hawaii's in the top 3 of where this impact is going to really make a difference. We're one of 3 that are hardest hit given our share of federal jobs and contracting per capita.
I wouldn't be surprised. That's one of the key pillars of our economy besides tourism, construction, is military expenditures. Mm-hmm. It's government expenditures, government services.
Yeah. So I would assume that by the time people are listening to this, if the government shutdown is continuing, which my gut instinct tells me that it's probably not going to be solved in the next week, but I serve a mighty God and I believe in miracles.
Oh, ye of so little faith.
Yeah, so maybe they'll come into agreement and maybe this whole show will be like a waste of time, people will say. But I do think that even if the shutdown is fixed and people have to be aware of what these things do in the effect of the economy.
I think that the show will have this purpose, to highlight the importance of our federal government to the local economy, the local well-being, and a quality of life. We depend a lot upon federal government services in so many respects.
And maybe, you're going to laugh, maybe this goes back to who we elect and put into office, because if you're going to vote for someone who is going to play these political games, I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, if you're going to play political games and you're not for the best benefit to the people you serve, then maybe you shouldn't run.
Okay, I'm gonna risk something right now. I normally don't gamble because you know how I feel about gambling. But I always tell people I only gamble when I know I'm going to win, which is not really gambling. So, but they're gonna settle. I think they're gonna settle very quick. You know, I think definitely before Thanksgiving. How can you go and be thankful and celebrate one of the greatest traditions of America, Thanksgiving? Okay, being thankful for what you have. Okay. Well, people are standing in line at the food bank. Okay, you know, just for bread, loaf of bread and some eggs and some milk, right? I mean, you can't, come on. No one can do that, right? No matter how good that turkey is.
Yep.
You can't do it. So I think they're going to come together. They're going to settle it. So I think a couple weeks.
Okay, well.
Oh, yeah, I can't bet you. Sorry.
Well, no, you can't bet me, but I have to speak for some of my listeners and viewers, Marcus, that people are saying it's the Democrats' fault, that the Democrats just refuse, because this is what I hear, and I want you to speak to this.
I'm going to speak to that because I saw this headlines here, and I wanted to give you guys some background.
I want you to, because this is what we're hearing. The Democrats are being stubborn. I mean, this is what they're calling it, Schumer's shutdown, you know. I mean, that's what we're hearing. Right. And I want you to speak to that because that's what I hear.
Well, okay. So I saw this headlines. This is Monday, November 3rd. Yesterday. It says, health insurance battle at heart of shutdown. So I read this article. I was thinking, okay, so this has to do with the insurance premiums going up and next year, and how did that come about? So Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, approved by the Senate, House, Congress, 2010, regulations, 2014 goes live, okay? So that's in 2014. That's like 11 years
And I already know, so for those of you that were all opposed to Obamacare, please do not just start. Well, no, if you want to send nasty emails, send it to Marcus.
No, you can send it to, but you can also send it to the United States Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Because the case was taken to the United States Supreme Court. And the United States Supreme Court, under the current Chief Justice Roberts, upheld the constitutionality
I know.
of the Affordable Care Act. Okay.
I will let you finish with this,
Okay.
but let me just say this. I personally felt like the Supreme Court should not be forced or no, it shouldn't be the Supreme Court. The government, in my opinion, has no business telling people they have to get any kind of insurance. That bothered me.
Well, currently there is no enforcement mechanism of the mandate. It's probably a good idea. It's like there's a penalty for not getting insurance, okay? But there's really no teeth to that penalty.
I know, but it's still it left a bad taste in my mouth.
But if you understand how insurance works, and I have a pretty good understanding about it.
Yeah, you do.
The more lives you have covered in an insurance program, a collective pool of people all contributing, so that as people need and have a need for services, there's a bigger pool to prove from. Otherwise, you're going to have the young people like Reagan and her family. They're healthy, they're strong. They're not going to be buying insurance. Why should I buy insurance? Because I don't see the doctor. I don't take any medications. I'm a very strong, healthy woman. Blah blah blah. That's what happens. That's called adverse selection. And any insurance program you have, whether it's on a federal level or local level, you have that phenomenon called adverse, selection. The people that don't need it will not buy it. The people who really need it will come into it, but they'll draw down so much, so heavily, it's unsustainable. So that's what we learned here in Hawaii. That's why we have
Quest was a very good program that we had prior to Obamacare.
What's that?
Quest.
Yeah. So MedQuest is still in place. So,
but when Obamacare took over, it kind of there wasn't I saw some effect.
One of the big things of Obamacare, I think people forget, is pre-existing condition.
Right.
That was the issue, because there are a lot of people who wanted insurance, but the insurance will say, "Well, I don't want you there. You've been smoking too long. I don't want you there. Your blood sugar is too high. I don't want you there because your blood pressure."
Yeah, right.
So pre-existing conditions, made me, I can't get into the system. I can't cover it. No one wants me. So anyway, I read this article and I was thinking, okay, so ACA, Affordable Care Act 2010, 2014 regulations go active. So it's going along, everything like that. Then I said, okay, what happened? Then COVID came in, right? So in 2020, it shuts down everything. The economy shuts down, world pandemic, right? So what the Congress did back there is through the American Rescue Plan to save all the states and citizens. In 2021, they put in a provision that they're going to allow people up to 400% above the federal poverty level to now be eligible for a federal subsidy to buy health insurance. And that's why we talk about the 22 million today. That happened in 2021. And it was done for the purposes of making sure that they have access to health care because it's global pandemic. People are losing their jobs. They're not getting employer coverage. So they need to be covered with insurance. So that was in 2021. And then interestingly,
can I just say, though, that the saying is that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So that might have been good intentions.
Yeah, well, it gets better than that. Because in 2022, to adjust the Inflation Reduction Act 2022, under President Biden in the House and Senate, they extended that in 2022. They extended that 400% federal poverty level. And they made it available to a lot of people in the gig economy, self-employed people, sole proprietors, LLCs.
So that was a big expansion.
And that was an expansion because prior to that, we weren't dealing with people.
And why did they do that? So whether you agree or not, you can kind of see why the pandemic had the discussion started.
So they already came in the pandemic.
Right.
So they're already
but why the expansion though later?
Government services, legislators all over the world know it. Once you give something to the people and they like it, it's hard to take it away.
Well, then they want more.
Yeah, they want more. So they did that in 2022, but they extended it only till December of 2025.
And that's what people are hearing. They're hearing,
That's why we're here today. But the original Obamacare ACA, it was never intended to cover that group.
So when people are talking about the clean resolution, and then they bring in this, well, you guys are the ones that were going to sunset it in December of 2025 anyway.
Right.
So where is the meeting of these two things? Because aren't right now they separate? Because isn't the clean resolution has nothing to do?
Yeah, I don't think the clean resolution that went over in the House has anything to do with funding, because it's roughly, it said it's like $350 billion over 10 years, $35 billion a year to cover these 22 million people. So I asked myself, okay, what about Hawaii? So Hawaii is about 24,000 people. But interestingly, of the 24,000, there are 7,000 people who are not getting the subsidy because their incomes are above 400% federal poverty level, roughly 80,000 for an individual, 120,000 for a family of four. So there's 7,000 of the 24,000 who are still in the marketplace insurance program, right?
Right.
But they're not getting the subsidy. Oh. So I said to myself, what happens if the federal government chooses not to go in there and provide $350 billion a year, which is a small money, whatever, $1 trillion budget. The state of Hawaii can use its money to provide about $125 million a year to cover all of our citizens and provide the subsidy. So if the federal government doesn't do it, we can do it ourselves.
Yeah, well, because didn't we have a surplus a couple of years ago? Whatever happened to the surplus?
No, we still have a surplus. I think it's $1.5 billion right now, and I think another $700 million. I think
so we could take care of our own.
Oh yeah. So that's the Governor Green doing right now, right? He's gonna use some of that money, $100 million right now, for the reduction, 50% reduction in the supplemental nutritional assistance program, food stamp SNAPs, right? He's gonna
$250 for everybody on the SNAP program.
Yes, yeah, they're gonna get that, but that's for 1 month, so it's $100 million, right?
Right,
and then he's using some of the temporary assistance and needy family money. He's using that temporarily to also support them, right?
Right. So if we look at what President Trump claims that is going to happen with the 50%, right? That they're going to get 50% plus the governor is going to give everybody the $250, right? So it may not, it's probably not the best scenario, right? Of it being totally open and working, but it's doable.
No, it's doable because, out of a $10 billion budget, $125 million is like 1%. You know what I mean? It's a small amount of money, relatively speaking. But the same can be said for the $350 billion for the 22 million in our country. Out of a $1 trillion budget, it's 1%. Okay, so it's a small amount. But I think on principle, both the Reds and the Ds, or the Reds and the Blues in the Congress and U.S. Senate, just have this philosophical difference but they gotta get together.
Well, it's really interesting because I have close friends that are Democrat. I have close friends that are Republican, and it's really interesting when we start talking about this kind of stuff, right? Because this is where everybody starts drawing that line in the sand, right? You've got people that are going, why do we have so many people that need that kind of help anyway? Because the system was never set up to just give free money to people, right? It was set up to really help people.
Yeah, so I think what happened when that American Rescue Plan came in, it was an opportunity to help all people because everyone was affected by rich, poor, medium income. They wanted to do something for the medium income, for working families, and that was the opportunity there. We can help them in one sense, help them with their insurance premium costs. It makes sense public policy wise to expand the class of people covered by insurance. It's better for all of us. And we can help them, the middle class, because we didn't help the middle class enough during Obamacare 2010, 2014 implementation. This is our opportunity, and that's what happened. And then they agreed to it,
right?
And they expanded it in 2022 on the Inflation Reduction Act to take it out to 2025. So there was some.
Was that a partisan vote, though? It seems to me like I don't really.
I don't know what the vote was, but
it passed.
It passed.
Yeah.
And that was doing President Biden, right?
Yeah. Whew. So we kind of already talked about the impact on travel, tourism, and island connectivity, which is interesting. it says that right now, as of November 4th, that travel right now in Hawaii has been pretty much unaffected, but it doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way if this shutdown lasts any longer.
Yeah, my greatest fear is that something happens in the tower because someone is overworked, has been kept on another shift.
Yeah.
And they can't fill the vacancies fast enough. I mean, you already have problems with planes getting into problems, taking off, landing. I hope and pray we don't see anything coming out of this.
Me too, especially because, like I said, we're moving into the high travel time.
That's right.
Right. We're moving into the thing. The federal, you mentioned it earlier, the federal sites, the parks, the public lands. Right now, they're not shutting them down, but that could be a potential, right? If this is not end soon, where they'll start closing down all the parks.
Yeah, because if you're not getting a paycheck, you're not getting paid. You're gonna have a hard time applying for any kind of assistance. So it's like that's why the food banks, are so important because they can provide you, some food. There's some cash assistance out there if you get you really need it through the state programs, but.
And those bathrooms don't clean themselves.
They don't clean themselves.
That's Jesus. Oh gosh. Okay. In the last couple of minutes, so interesting. The Office of Hawaiian Affairs has committed $6.1 million. In emergency relief funds, specifically for Native Hawaiian beneficiaries.
I think that's a great program. I think it's a great idea. I think they're looking within themselves. What can they do to contribute? It's a kako thing. All of us are involved. So if they can help the beneficiaries, OHA, Office of Hawaiian Affairs, I think it's a good investment, good choice. Good leadership under Kahele. Good job.
I love that you brought that up, and it's such a good way to end because, for me, I don't work for the government. I don't work for the federal government, right? So it almost seems like, in a sense, I'm not being affected. But what I like to do is during these times is to look how I can make a difference in whatever small way at all. How can I bring my gift to the community?
Yeah. So next time you go to Sam's Club, or you go to Costco, pick up an extra case of Vienna sausage or Spam. Take that home and give it to your local church or the food bank near you. I mean, it's going to help people. It's going to feed families, give them some protein. Right?
That's this.
And you can do that, right?
Right. And this is how I want to end it. This is again a time for the church to rise. I always say this, that whenever there are times like this, people look to the church, and so we should be supporting our pastors and our churches, because when people need help and they go to the church needs to have this help too. So I think this is a great time for us to be Christian and to bring our gift to the community. So we appreciate that you spent time with us today, and we want you to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know every time we upload a new video. And if you're enjoying these shows, make sure that you share it with 2 or 3 other people so that we can grow our community and have more conversation as we move forward. So we will see all of you next week. Mahalo, everybody.